You don't need to shout to take power. The people who truly hold power never raise their voices. They watch, they calculate, and then they act. Real power is quiet, hard to notice, and often invisible. Yet it shapes human relationships, controls crowds, and unsettles even the strongest people. If you want to understand what really happens behind the scenes, you have to be willing to look beyond appearances, leave your comfort behind, and hear what almost no one dares to say out loud. Machiavelli didn't teach people to be cruel. He taught them how to survive in a world full of wolves. Today, I'm going to reveal 7 ruthless rules that very few people follow, but everyone ends up living through. Stay until the end, because the last rule is the most disturbing one, and it's the rule almost everyone uses without ever admitting it. Write in the comments, silence is the weapon of strategic minds, and get ready to see the world in a completely different way. Back in the 16th century, one man dared to say out loud what the powerful only whispered in private. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. At a time when people were obsessed with looking moral, he completely changed the game. His book, The Prince, was never a guide for tyrants. It was a mirror held up to humanity, a dirty mirror, a raw mirror, a mirror with no filter. He didn't talk about virtue. He talked about results. He didn't sell the dream of a fair world. He exposed the unwritten rules followed by the people who hold power. Since then, his name has become an insult, even though all he did was give a name to a truth that people still try to avoid today. Real dominance doesn't come from strength. It comes from cold intelligence, patient calculation, and the ability to hide your true intentions. This knowledge makes people uncomfortable because it frees those who accept it. True power doesn't make noise. It doesn't show itself. It quietly slips into place. It doesn't strike first. It waits. These 7 rules are not meant to help you impress people or win their approval. They exist to help you survive among those who want to control you. Once you understand them, you'll realize the world has never been fair. It has always belonged to those who refuse to play by everyone else's rules. Number. Rule 1. Be unpredictable, even to yourself. Human beings are pattern-seeking creatures. They look for repetition in every action, habits in every word, and predictable behavior in every move. Why? Because if they can predict you, they can control you. If someone already knows your next move, they've already put a leash around your neck. And the more convinced you are that you know yourself, the deeper you build your own mental prison. Being predictable is a form of submission. A quiet one, but a deadly one. You may think consistency makes you reliable, but in the language of power, constant behavior is a weakness. It makes you easy to read, and whatever can be read can also be defeated. If you truly want to dominate, you must become the unknown part of the equation, not only for other people, but for yourself as well. Break the image you've created of who you think you are. Change your pace without warning. Change the way you speak without explaining yourself. Surprise even your own mind. Being unpredictable isn't random behavior. It's strategic confusion. It throws manipulators off balance, disarms followers, and earns quiet respect. The people who thought they had you figured out suddenly find themselves in the dark, unable to predict your next move. That's the moment you gain the advantage. Because the unpredictable person becomes the center of attention. Controlled chaos demands respect. It forces people to stay alert. It creates uncertainty. You'll never be truly respected if everyone already knows how you'll respond. You'll never be truly free if you always walk the same path. Look around you. The people who escape control are the ones nobody can predict. They change their approach without losing their purpose. They appear where no one expects them. They don't announce themselves. Even their silence becomes a message that nobody dares to decode. Refuse every label, even the flattering ones. Become a living mystery. Not to impress people, but to stay free. Not to attract attention, but to survive in a world where everything predictable eventually gets destroyed. Even you must sometimes escape from the version of yourself that feels comfortable. Because the moment you become predictable to your own mind, someone, somewhere, has already started using you. Rule 2. Hide your true intentions behind small, meaningless actions. What you want most can become your biggest weakness. The moment people understand your real goal, they can attack it, redirect it, or destroy it. True power doesn't come from openly declaring your intentions. It comes from hiding them. The easier you are to read, the easier you are to manipulate. Your destination should never be obvious, only the path you appear to take. Talk about peace while you're moving toward victory. Show humility while you're preparing to win. Congratulate your rivals when you already know their fall is coming. The art of power is built on deliberate confusion. Every visible action should act like smoke, a distraction. Learn to make people think you're giving up when you're actually moving forward. Learn to smile when you hate. Look away when you're aiming. Take one step back so you can move 3 steps forward. People who openly display their ambition become easy targets. Those who wrap their ambition in ordinary, harmless actions stay invisible until the decisive moment. In a world built on appearances, the greatest power is creating an appearance that nobody questions. Let every word become a mask. Let every action become a useful illusion. That doesn't make you a traitor. It makes you a strategist. Never forget this. A visible intention attracts obstacles. A hidden intention passes through walls. Don't try to be transparent. Transparency is a luxury that only the weak can afford. You must become impossible to read. Not empty, but dense. Not vague, but impossible to read. The moment someone thinks they've figured out your goal, change direction. The moment they believe they can read you, blur the picture. And above all, never reveal what you want the most, because that's exactly where the world will strike. Number. Rule 3. Use weakness as a disguise. People are afraid of visible strength. They fight it. They resist it. They try to destroy it. But when they see someone who appears weak, they let their guard down. They laugh. They feel sorry for you. They come closer. And that's where real power quietly takes root. If you want to disarm the people around you, don't advertise your strength. Whisper your weakness. Look small. Stay in the background. Act uncertain. Make people believe you have no weapons while you're sharpening them in the shadows. In a society that celebrates emotional transparency, cry with them if you have to. Let them think you're confused. Let them believe you still don't understand how the game works. While they look down on you, learn the game better than they ever will. Strategic weakness becomes a bridge to every closed door. The person who seems harmless is welcomed everywhere. The person everyone believes is weak receives trust, sympathy, and opportunities. This mask is incredibly powerful because it works in every part of life, in friendships, in love, and in business. But it must never become real. You must know how to appear vulnerable without ever becoming completely vulnerable. You must know how to suffer in silence without letting your pain pull you away from your path. Never forget this. In a world of predators, the one who survives isn't always the strongest. It's the one nobody sees coming. And nothing is more invisible than someone people believe is already broken. Pity is a Trojan horse. Hide inside it. And when they open their gates, you'll know exactly what to do. Number. Rule 4. Speak less, but make every word count. Words are weapons. And like every weapon, the more you use them, the more exposed you become. Learn to speak the way someone drives a blade with precision, at exactly the right moment, right where it matters. Silence is your ally, not your enemy. It creates tension. It pushes the other person to fill the empty space. It makes them reveal things you never even had to ask about. It gives your voice a rare weight. When you finally decide to speak, everyone listens because your words are never ordinary. Don't rush to fill the silence. Let it work for you. Let the discomfort grow. Let the other person's eyes become uneasy because they don't know what you're thinking, what you're about to say, or what you're hiding. Silence creates legend. It makes you larger than your words. And when you finally speak, don't over-explain. Go straight to the point. One sentence can crush a long speech. One well-timed look can disarm an entire attack. You don't have to say everything. You only have to say what changes everything. Watch the people who lead. without making noise. Their words fall like stones into water. The ripples last a long time. They force people to think. They make people uncomfortable. That should be your goal. Speak little, but leave a lasting impact. Every word you add should hit with purpose. Every silence you leave behind should become a trap. Those who try to say everything lose what matters most. Those who master silence become unstoppable. Number. Rule 5. Always be the observer, never the one who rushes. The modern world loves noise. It rewards people who speak first, who react the fastest, who stay constantly busy. But constant activity is a distraction. It pushes you to respond to everything. It drains your energy. It scatters your focus. The person who never stops moving eventually empties themselves. They lose sight of what truly matters. You must do the opposite. Slow down. Observe. The observer is rarely controlled because they see what others miss. They read between the actions. They notice contradictions. They recognize hidden intentions. They don't rush. They move with purpose. They don't react. They decide. True superiority is built through quiet attention. Look at the people who can control an entire room without saying a single word. They're noticed because they never try to be noticed. They listen while everyone else reveals themselves. They notice what no one else sees. And when they finally speak, everything changes. Become that person, the one who knows exactly when to step in. The one who doesn't react to provocation, but turns it back against the person who started it. The one who appears to stand in the background while secretly pulling the strings. In silence, you begin to see everyone else's game. You understand their needs, their fears, their contradictions. And with that knowledge, you can influence events without anyone realizing you're the source. You don't have to dominate through force. You can dominate through perception. The person who sees first can act first. And in a world built on constant competition, that's often enough to stay ahead without mercy. Constant activity weakens you. Quiet presence makes people uneasy. Because what people don't understand, they respect. And what they never see coming, they can't stop. Number. Rule 6. Never reveal what hurts you. What you hide protects you. What you expose weakens you. In a world that encourages you to show everything, say everything. Confess everything. Resist. Your pain should never become public entertainment. Your emptiness should never become a performance. The moment you reveal what hurts you is the moment you hand your power to someone else. Because whatever people know about you can be used against you. And sooner or later, it probably will. Don't look to the world for understanding. It's an illusion. Don't chase approval. It's unstable. Build an inner sanctuary that no one can enter, a place filled with shadow, silence, and self-control. Strength doesn't come from never being wounded. It comes from learning how to carry your wounds and transform them into power. The people who truly dominate are the ones who take the hit without shouting, who suffer without begging, who bleed without letting anyone see it. This isn't pride, it's strategy. Because once your vulnerability is exposed, it becomes a crack in your armor. And the world rarely shows mercy. Keep your sorrow to yourself. Keep your inner chaos for your own transformation. Be like a stone, smooth on the outside, burning on the inside. What you choose not to say becomes stored strength. What you carry in silence feeds your presence. You have nothing to prove and nothing to reveal. The person who knows how to contain themselves inspires a quiet kind of fear. People sense a depth inside them whose limits they cannot measure. And faced with that unknown, they keep their distance. That distance becomes your territory, your empire, your kingdom. Number. Rule 7. Disarm people by being impossible to label. The world wants to define you, to place you in a category, to reduce you to a role, to give you a label. It's easier that way, because to understand you is to control you. To name you is to confine you, And every time you accept a definition someone else gives you, you put chains on yourself. You become exactly what they expect you to be. You step into their way of seeing you, and the moment that happens, you lose your mystery, and with it, your power. If you want to dominate without mercy, refuse to be understood too quickly. Reject flattering compliments that are really trying to tame you. Reject criticism that tries to lock you into a fixed identity. Be both close and distant, gentle and sharp, present, yet impossible to grasp. Ambiguity is your armor. When people think you're kind, surprise them with firmness. When they believe you're cold, disarm them with unexpected warmth. The moment they think they've figured you out, change. Nothing is more powerful than someone who cannot be put into a category. You become an unanswered question in everyone's mind, an anomaly in their understanding, a constant source of tension. And inside that tension, you gain the advantage, because the person who can't be classified can never be predicted. They disrupt patterns. They break certainty. They force everyone else to keep adjusting. And in that instability, you control the rhythm. Don't cling to any fixed identity. Never become the role other people assign to you. Stay fluid. Stay unpredictable. Stay free. This isn't a game. It's a necessity. Because in a world that wants to reduce everyone to a function, a mask, or a label, the person who refuses to be classified becomes untouchable. They cannot be predicted. And because they cannot be predicted, they cannot be controlled. Faced with that uncertainty, people eventually step aside. They give you space. They give you power. You don't have to follow these rules. But understand this: other people are already using them, quietly, coldly, every single day. While you live by complete honesty, they move in the shadows. They gain ground. They turn situations in their favor. This isn't a call to betray anyone. It's a warning. Either you learn how power really works, or you become a tool in someone else's hands. You probably think power comes from visible actions, from strength, or from saying the right words at the right time. But real power lives somewhere else. It lives in what you feel without understanding, in what influences you without making a sound. What you're about to hear won't make you comfortable. It may disturb you, and it may set you free. Number. First truth: real power is emotional, not logical. You can have the strongest arguments in the world, the clearest facts, the smartest ideas, and still be powerless against someone who knows how to create emotion. Because human beings are not ruled by logic. They're ruled by what they feel. And the person who masters that territory rules without ever needing to explain themselves. Look at the people who naturally dominate those around them. They're not always the most skilled. They're the ones who create a visceral reaction: fear, admiration, discomfort, fascination. They create an atmosphere. People don't remember what they said. They remember how they made them feel. Do you want to persuade people? Do you want to influence them? Then stop fighting only in the battlefield of ideas. Step into the magnetic field of emotion. Create an atmosphere around yourself. Let your presence change the temperature of the room. Let your silence speak. Let your eyes stop people in their tracks. Emotional language is an invisible weapon. It reaches people without passing through conscious thought. It settles deep inside them. It bypasses reason. And in that uncertain space, your influence takes root. This isn't about intelligence. It's about emotional energy. You must know when to slow your voice, when to deepen your silence, when to create discomfort, and when to offer calm. It's a subtle dance. Learn to read people not so you can answer them, but so you can make them feel exactly what you've chosen. Even the smartest manipulators submit to someone with steady emotional presence, because that emotional tension becomes a gentle prison. The other person doesn't know why they're following you. They simply feel that resisting would be too uncomfortable. And that's when you have them. As long as you believe power comes from logic, you're already behind. The brain analyzes, but the gut makes the decision. And the person who influences the gut no longer has to justify their choices. Number. Second truth. The more you're loved, the more vulnerable you become. Love, in its purest form, is not power. It's openness. It's exposure. And in that exposure, you become vulnerable. Because the person who loves you learns how to read you. They see your hesitation, your impulses, your weaknesses, and the person who needs to be loved becomes dependent on the eyes that approve of them. They begin adjusting their actions, their words, their decisions, just to avoid losing that approval. The need to be loved becomes an invisible chain. You want people to like you, so you adapt. You want validation, so you betray what you know is right. Sometimes you dim your own light just to stay inside someone else's. Slowly, you abandon your center. But what people love about you is often only a projection, not the real you. And to keep that projection alive, you have to keep holding yourself back. You think love always lifts you higher. Sometimes it traps you. You think the more people love you, the freer you become. But the more you're loved, the easier you become to read, the easier you become to reach, the more vulnerable you become. The paradox is harsh. The people who truly hold power don't need to be loved. And that's exactly why they inspire fascination and respect. Their detachment creates its own gravity. Their selective indifference establishes the hierarchy. Look around you. The people who captivate you aren't the ones trying to please everyone. They're the ones who dare to be themselves, even when it makes others uncomfortable. They become desirable because they remain out of reach. They're loved precisely because they don't depend on being loved. If you want to dominate, you must free yourself from the need for approval. Choose solitude over compromise. Accept being misunderstood. Accept being criticized. Accept being rejected. And still remain standing. That detachment is what makes you dangerous. And paradoxically, it's what makes you unforgettable. Number. Third truth. Passive dominance is the most dangerous kind. You may think that dominating means giving orders, setting the rules, or making people fear you through force. But the people who truly hold power rarely speak the loudest. They don't even look like they're in charge. They step back, and people come to them. They say almost nothing, yet everything begins to reorganize around their absence. That is passive dominance. A form of power so quiet that it disarms without violence. It demands nothing. It orders nothing. It simply creates a void. And that void pulls people in. Want to stay in control? Learn to step away. Learn not to answer right away. Learn not to approve everything. Silence, distance, strategic absence. These create emotional imbalance in the other person. And inside that imbalance, they begin chasing you, trying to predict you, adjusting themselves without you ever asking them to. You don't need to force your importance. You only need people to feel that you're not always available, that your presence is rare, and that your attention has value. This kind of dominance is invisible, but incredibly powerful. It works through attachment, through absence, through projection. Eventually, people begin doing for you what you would have had to force them to do before. Look around you. The people with the most influence aren't always the ones who speak the most. They're the ones people wait for, the ones they're afraid to lose, the ones whose absence weighs more than everyone else's presence. That is an art, and you learn it by speaking less, by stepping away when people start looking for you, by becoming rare without ever explaining yourself. And when you return, you don't even need to speak. The balance of power has already shifted. Number. Fourth truth. What you keep forgiving can become your prison. You've been taught that forgiveness is strength, that it frees you, that it brings peace, that it heals. But few people tell you that forgiveness can also become a cage. Because forgiving without awareness is giving another chance to the person who weakened you, without truly freeing yourself from them. It's trying to restore the relationship without questioning the cost. It's burying your pain just to avoid conflict. But underneath forgiveness, there is sometimes fear. fear of losing someone, fear of confrontation, fear of being alone. And that fear becomes the perfect place for the same wound to happen again. You forgive again and again, and each time you abandon a little more of yourself. You think you're being strong, but you're slowly giving up your center, your clarity, your instincts. Real forgiveness isn't returning to the relationship. It's separating from it within yourself. It isn't forgetting. It's removing that person from the place of power they once held over you. It's seeing clearly what they did and choosing not to let it define who you are anymore. As long as you forgive only to keep the peace, you accept being hurt again. As long as you forgive only to avoid walking away, you remain a prisoner. Forgiveness should be an act of sovereignty, not emotional dependence. You don't forgive to heal the other person. You forgive to free yourself from the story. And sometimes, choosing not to forgive is also an act of strength. Sometimes saying no is survival. Sometimes it's dignity. Sometimes it's the ending that has to happen. Forgiving too quickly, too often, or too deeply can sometimes mean giving yourself away. This isn't about hatred. It's about boundaries. Without boundaries, there is no identity. Without identity, there is no power. And without power, there is only the endless repetition of old wounds. Number. Fifth truth. You'll never master what you refuse to accept within yourself. You want to stay pure, good, moral. You want to believe you're above strategy, above manipulation, above darkness. But the part of yourself you reject will quietly control you. As long as you deny your shadow, it works behind the scenes. It appears through your silence, your self-sabotage, the choices you don't even realize you're making. Real power begins the moment you dare to face what you've spent your whole life avoiding. Your need for control, your desire to be admired, your attraction to power. You want people to listen to you, to follow you, to respect you. But you hide those desires. You wrap them in morality, in kindness, in spirituality, because it sounds better, but it's still a lie. And every lie weakens you. It leaves you exposed. Because the people who have already accepted their own darkness immediately recognize those who haven't, and they use it against them. If you want to become unshakable, don't try to become good. Become whole. Being whole means accepting the uncomfortable parts of yourself, recognizing your anger, your impulses, your ability to manipulate, not so you can use them against others, but so they can never be used against you. Power has no respect for unconsciousness. If you refuse to see your own desire for control, it will eventually destroy you from the inside. But if you accept it, it becomes a tool. The ancient masters understood this. They were never afraid of their shadow. They knew it. They lived with it. And that's why they inspired both respect and fear. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be honest with yourself. You can never master what you've never faced. And whatever you refuse to admit about yourself will always have its hand around your throat. If you want to dominate without mercy, start by mastering yourself. What you've just heard isn't comfortable, but it is real. Power isn't found in appearances. It's found in depth. It's found in what you're willing to face inside yourself when no one else is watching. The real question isn't, do you have the courage to rule? It's, do you have the courage to see yourself completely? Now that you know these truths, understanding them isn't enough. You have to live them. These principles aren't here to impress your mind. They're tools. And every tool requires a steady hand. Without daily practice, truth remains powerless. If you truly want these ideas to transform you, you'll have to apply them quietly, every day, without witnesses, without recognition, and without making a sound. Number. Mastery begins in silence. First practice. Master strategic silence for 3 days. Try this experiment. For the next 3 days, stop explaining yourself, whether it's a decision, an absence, a boundary, or a personal choice. Simply act without offering an explanation. you'll quickly notice how strong the urge to explain becomes. That urge comes from the fear of being misunderstood, judged, or rejected. But that's exactly where your freedom begins. The moment you stop justifying yourself, you reclaim your energy. You stop placing your power in other people's opinions. And something unexpected happens. The people who can no longer figure you out become uncomfortable. You're no longer transparent. You become unreadable. And inside that mystery, you become free. You don't need to announce your actions. Just act and observe. Watch how some people pull away. Watch how others become restless. Watch how some try to pressure you into explaining yourself. Stand firm. Speak little. Stay centered. Your silence will speak louder than your words. Second practice, break your need to be liked. This isn't just an idea. It's an addiction. A slow poison that society teaches you to accept. It makes you soften your voice, filter your thoughts, and shrink your power just to avoid upsetting people. If you want to break free from this need, you must face it directly. Choose one action that intentionally feels uncomfortable. Do something that might cost you someone's approval. For example, say no without explaining. Refuse a favor you would normally accept out of habit. Walk away from a toxic relationship. Then stay with the discomfort. Stay with the fear of not being liked. And watch what happens inside you. Notice what begins to shake. Notice what wants to run away. Notice what wants to fix everything. That's the part of yourself you must master. Not through force, through awareness. You don't need everyone to love you. You need to be authentic. And sometimes authenticity will cost you people. Good. They weren't allies. They were only spectators. Third practice. Build a calm, unshakable presence. You don't need powerful words to command respect. Quiet calm can create authority all by itself. The next time you're with a group, whether it's a meeting, your family, or friends, say very little. Only speak when it's truly necessary. Before every sentence, take one slow breath. Look directly at the person you're speaking to. Let the silence settle, then speak slowly, simply, and watch what happens. You'll notice something changing. People will begin looking toward you. Their pace will naturally adjust to yours, because the person who speaks less becomes a point of reference. They're no longer reactive. They're magnetic, and that magnetism has nothing to do with surface-level charisma. It comes from an inner calm that is difficult to shake. If you want to become that steady presence, practice leaving space. Practice not reacting to every stimulus. Practice not answering immediately. Let everyone else struggle to be noticed. You remain steady, unshaken, fully present. Fourth practice, find your favorite mask and break it. Every one of us wears a mask. The nice one, the strong one, the funny one, the humble one, the spiritual one, the logical one, the self-sacrificing one. Over time, that mask becomes a prison. Eventually, you're afraid to live without it. Ask yourself, which role do you play most often? What do you always want people to see? Maybe that mask protected you in the past, but today, it's stopping you from growing. Choose a safe place, a trusted circle, or even complete solitude. Then consciously become the opposite of your usual mask. If you're always the listener, speak. If you're always the comforter, be distant. If you're always the guide, allow people to be uncertain. It won't feel comfortable. In fact, it may hurt. Your ego will fight back. But inside that struggle, you'll discover another part of yourself. A part you've never allowed to exist. And very often, that's where your deepest authority has been waiting all along. Fifth practice, build an inner sanctuary. You'll never master the outside world if you have no home inside yourself. Every day, set aside just 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no conversation. Bring your attention back into your body. Then imagine a private place inside yourself. A place no one can enter. A place untouched by criticism, failure, betrayal, or even praise. This is your sanctuary. The place where you stop trying to prove yourself. the place where you simply exist. There, you can watch your thoughts without chasing them. There, you can face your ambition, your exhaustion, your anger, without running away, without judging yourself. You simply hold them, accept them, and return to your center. That inner sanctuary is what separates people who constantly react from people who consciously choose. It separates those searching for safety from those who become a place of safety. You don't need to become someone else. You simply need to remove everything that isn't truly you. These principles aren't meant to make you cruel. They're meant to make you stronger without making you colder, to make you clear-minded, whole, and impossible to predict. Practice them, not to control other people, but so you'll never again be controlled from within. Today, you've heard ideas that very few people are willing to face. Quiet truths, uncomfortable truths, powerful truths. And now that they're part of you, you can no longer pretend you didn't see them. You can no longer tell yourself the same old stories. You've seen what can no longer be ignored. The world belongs to those who don't seek to be loved, but to be free. To those who don't react, but observe. To those who don't speak, but breathe slowly while everyone else rushes around. To those who never feel the need to justify themselves, yet create quiet tension simply through the way they carry themselves. You don't need to shout. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't even need to explain yourself. Become the steady shadow, the storm held under control, the gaze that understands everything, yet says nothing. You have the right to be kind, but let your kindness never become naivety. You have the right to love, but let your love never become submission. You have the right to seek justice, but let that pursuit never become an escape from reality. Most people don't really want the truth. They want comfort. They want to believe they can be strong without making anyone uncomfortable, that they can have depth without shaking anyone's beliefs, that they can be free while still trying to please everyone. But if you're still here, it means you're ready to become part of a different circle. A rare circle, a quiet circle, an invisible circle, the circle of people who have chosen to truly see and then act accordingly. So from this moment on, stop searching for more knowledge. Apply it, live it. Let it transform you. And above all, never apologize for becoming someone the world can no longer control.